a Scrum Master as well. I've worked in healthcare, finance, and airline domain. Working in such a vast variety of domains gives me the knowledge to think outside the box, to make innovative business solutions and help the team as a servant leader. My most recent project was actually with Spectrum Health, where I had to play multiple roles. I played a Scrum Master, a business analyst as well. Our time was allocated differently for each role. Usually it was 50% Scrum Master role, 50% BA role, so we would have 2 different projects each. As a Scrum Master, my main goal, my main responsibilities were to facilitate all the Scrum ceremonies, such as sprint planning, help the backlog grooming, sprint retrospective, and also sprint review. I was responsible for also being a servant leader as well, and making sure that the team was confident in what they do by removing any roadblocks that come their way. So that's what I did as a Scrum Master. I also helped coach the team on great Scrum frameworks as well. Some of the projects I've worked on dealt with Medicare. One of the projects was we have a tool called Find a Doctor. We were implementing a brand new program for people who have Medicare and who were going to get a discount if they go to preferred pharmacies. I was playing as a Scrum Master in this role. I was being the liaison basically and facilitating the meetings, the daily sprint, the daily retrospective, the daily sprint, sprint retrospective, sprint planning, helping backlog grooming, assisting the product owner with unbiased comments, and also protecting my team from any outside interference. I also worked at United Health Group, where we were configuring a system that was like an old FACET system. It was built for claim adjudication. I had to play multiple roles here. In the beginning of my role, I played a business analyst and a configuration analyst. I was responsible for documenting functional requirements, business requirements. I was responsible for making sure the backlog grooming was intact. I was responsible for writing user stories in Rally, creating visual flowcharts that show how the system was interacting. Second part of my role was to work as a Scrum Master. I was moved as a Scrum Master role halfway through because they needed a Scrum Master and they knew my qualifications. Here, I worked with the serious development team and protected them from any outside interference. I also coached them on agile methodologies and the Scrum framework and how to be efficient. I also protected the team from any outside interferences or any problems. I worked at Molina Healthcare as well. I worked as a business analyst. It was an agile framework. What we were doing was we were implementing an EDI system, and we were basically upgrading it from ICD-9 to ICD-10. My role here was to document business requirements, work with the stakeholders, also work kind of as a QA by logging errors in Quality Center here. I also worked hand to hand with the solution architect in this role. My next project was Wells Fargo. I worked with Wells Fargo for about 2 years. I was working as a liaison between the business and IT group here. They were upgrading their loan origination process so they can accept automating processes. That's pretty much it, Shazad, as far as that goes.
Okay. That's good. That's very good. So here is my feedback. So you did very well. Okay, you responded very well. Only there are few things that you can improve. Okay, first focus on, like, that requirement, what exactly that requirement is for, the job is, like, the project is for which you gonna go interview. Okay, I think
Okay.
you can highlight your healthcare industry knowledge. You have, very in-depth healthcare and industry knowledge. You did the claim processing, end-to-end claim processing, so you understand completely, like, EDIs, EDI systems, practice management system, provider management system, and eligibility benefit systems, and facets, and all different systems that have been used in the healthcare industry, that you are very much, you have worked with them, and as well as you are very much familiar with the whole processes. Okay, that's what one thing needed to be highlighted. Okay, and the second point is, when you gonna, like, most recently, you are gonna tell about your project. Okay, so most recently I was working with this company. Okay, and they do this, and then talk about the project before you talk about the roles. Okay, so I mean,
Okay.
that is just like, kind of prioritizing what you tell first and what you tell next. Okay, talk about the project and then talk about the role. Okay, and
Okay.
in the role, talk about the role in order of implementation, kind of, when you go as a scrum master, you to work with the team. The first thing you do what? The first thing, you understand how the knowledge of the team about, like, agile, and based on that you coach them first, like, hey, this is, guys, this is how we will be doing, like, scrum. Okay, these will be our meetings, and I will be doing this, and product owner will be doing that, and your guys responsibility is that, as per framework, and this is how we will be executing it. Okay, so that everybody would be like in will be in sync, and same understanding of the framework, because every organization have agile and they do implement by their own way. So you don't want, like, everybody bring the legacy knowledge and started doing it their own way. So you want first a kind of synchronized and accepted approach. Okay, so you coach them first, and after that, the second important thing, before starting sprint, you want to make sure that we have enough backlog ready to worth of 2 to 3 worth of sprints, so there won't be any issue when we start sprinting. Second important thing. Okay, and to make sure that you ask the product owner that, hey, product owner, we have a backlog ready, and what is, let's start at grooming. So you get, like, schedule multiple grooming sessions. Okay, and if there is already a roadmap like in place, you have a date, like when we are starting sprint, then you will follow that. And if there is not, then you, like, work with the product owner, and to come up with that roadmap or release plan, that when we will be starting sprint. Okay, and what day we will start sprint, and we are gonna do that 2 week or 3 weeks or whatever, so roadmap verification, that roadmap map is there. After you verified like, hey, we are gonna start sprint like next Tuesday, so we have 4 days. You do like hmm, uh, organize grooming meeting extensively, so they will have like 2 3 worth of sprint of backlog groomed. Okay, and when groomed and defined, and when who are the participants in the grooming meeting? Product owner, development team, and scrum master. Scrum master organize that meeting and moderate that meeting. Okay, and you just in the grooming meeting you make sure all the team members participate. Okay, by asking open questions and having them like participate. And if there is like somebody wanna tell something, and somebody else is like non-stop talking, so making sure that everybody participate. That's a scrum master job in grooming meeting. Product owner job in the grooming meeting, that product owner go over the all the user story and acceptance criteria with the team and answers team's question. And team's job in the grooming meeting is to understand the business need and acceptance criteria. And if they know there is any technical infrastructure a user story that's needed to be added. Okay, if any infrastructure needed to be built to support those features and functionality, then they will add that user story during that grooming session. Okay, and other job of the team is to assign story points to all the user stories. Okay, with the because team is has the authority to assign the story sizing, do the story sizing. Okay, so scrum, as a scrum master, you can ask that, hey, when like basically it's a job of product owner to groom and size, like did the grooming, answer all those questions, ask the team if there is any thing left, or any infrastructure user story they think like they need to build to get that functionality, so log that. And after that all question answer, then for each user story, okay, let's like size it. Okay, and the product owner have to go over that, hey, we will be sizing based on a criteria, and that is how complex the work is, and how much effort is it needed, and how much unknown or known is, you know so
Okay.
yeah. And then do either t-shirt sizing or Fibonacci sequence or point sizing. So at the end of the grooming meeting, we have user story that is according to our definition of ready. Okay, definition of ready mean all those user story who are groomed by the team with the product owner and have sized, they will be considered ready to pick up in the sprint. Okay, so definition of ready is yes, scrum master create that definition of ready and let everybody know before like sprints and everything. Okay, definition of ready and definition of done. Okay, so that there will be a criteria that, hey, out of the backlog we will be only picking up those user story which are groomed with the team and sized, so that we will have a grooming and sizing done and the work will be more like according to like scrum framework. Okay, so this is what the grooming is. And when you have grooming for enough 2 3 sprints, and so we start sprint first day of the sprint, the first meeting is sprint planning meeting. Okay,
Yep.
so who as a scrum master, I usually sent when I know that the like roadmap when sprint is starting, and I will set up the meetings for next 4 or 5 sprints at least. Okay, so sprint planning meeting, one invite for next 5 meeting, daily stand up, one invite for next five sprint. Okay, and retrospective, one invite for five sprints, and final demo on the 10th day, one invite for five sprint. Okay, so invite, who are the people you are inviting for planning meeting? Scrum
You
master,
will
team,
the Scrum Master, the PO,
right? Or you know
and you have your Scrum team, the Scrum Master, the PO, and the developer team.
Scrum master is yourself. When you are sending an invite, you are basically there, right? So you are
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Sorry. Then no, no, no. Yeah, obviously you, but you're
development
gonna
team,
invite your development team and product owner, and
product.
you will also ask your product owner if anyone else needs to be in there.
Right, right. So you're gonna send that, and agenda. You're gonna send like an agenda for each meeting. For planning meeting, what would be the agenda? The first item in the agenda will be product owner will give the sprint goal, state the sprint goal, and go over all the user stories related to that goal, answer team's question. That is the first item. And second,
Got it. So basically, it's going to be you're gonna have one in the agenda. You're gonna have the sprint objective, right? The sprint goal is sprint objective that
right,
you're trying to accomplish.
right.
Then you're gonna have how long. Then it's gonna say the duration. If it's 4 hours or whatever. Usually
No,
planning
so,
it takes half a day.
no, you already sent the invite. Okay, like you already sent the invite, and invite is like basically like an hours you already mentioned down there. So in agenda you don't need to
Okay.
that hour. In agenda you need to mention just the pinpoint like objectives, like what would we will be talking today, what would be on our agenda. Okay, and like you start as a scrum master and do like hey, thank you very much everybody for joining, and this meeting we will be having for like 3 hours or 4 hours or whatever, and just go over housekeeping stuff, and then go over agenda. That first product owner will be talking about and stating a sprint goal, and then going over all the user stories that are related to those goals. Team can ask question, and then in second phase the team will be like dividing the user stories that are will be pulled by scrum master into the sprint backlog, and into tasks, and assign uh, task hours with each task. Okay, and then lastly we will do capacity validation. That would be the last item in the agenda. Okay, so let's start first. Product owner go over with the sprint goal and all that, and product owner will talk about, hey, uh, the goal of this sprint is to develop feature 1 and feature 2, or feature 1. That is the goal. And the user stories that are related to these goals, that is, first user story is this, second, three, four, five, all these user stories and acceptance criteria is this. Anybody has any question? So that if the team have any question or anything, or we miss anything, do we need to log any technical user story? Okay, so if there will be everything that done, then after that product owner, scrum master will pull all the user stories according to definition of ready out of all identified user stories that are related to that goal. Okay.
Yeah, but aren't they prioritized in the backlog grooming that way, anyways?
Hmm. Say it again.
Aren't they prioritized in the backlog?
No, so sorry, say, yeah, product owner also prioritize. That is also like he already prioritized too. Like he like order all those
Yeah.
users.
So that's
Right. So when Scrum Master pull down your user story from the backlog into the sprint backlog, okay, then product owner prioritize those user story. Okay, and why product owner can do that? Pull up, work from there, because there is a definition of ready, and definition of ready is guarded by the Scrum Master, because that
okay.
Right.
I'm visualizing this right now. So you have a backlog, like we have a backlog in Jira, okay?
Mm-hmm.
In there, we prioritize all the product owner prioritizes those requirements because definition of ready or definition of done is meant. Those story definition of ready is meant. Those stories, those 5 stories in the first 5 or 10 will be moved to the sprint planning. Once they're in the sprint planning, then the developers pick those up and start working on them.
Mm, no, 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 no. So you are say it again.
Okay, so we have a backlog. In there, we have 100 items, let's say, for 3 sprints, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Let's say we're on sprint 1. We have, out of the 100, we have about 30 stories ready to go, but our velocity and capacity can only take 10 stories. So the product owner says we need these 10 stories to be developed in this sprint.
All right.
We move those
So,
10 stories into the
so
sprint
right.
because their definition is already met.
Velocity and capacity, we are not like talking still we haven't reached to that, that would be discussed in the end of that sprint planning meeting. Okay, so
Okay.
usually that's the where the capacity validation is done, right? Okay,
Mm-hmm.
so usually if there is already velocity being established. Okay, I'm talking about the sprint one where we do not have any velocity established. Okay,
Yeah,
then
it'll take at least 3 sprints to establish your velocity.
right. Okay, so then they will have an idea that how many story they can do after 3 sprint. Okay, so we are just talking
Right.
what will how we will start in the first sprint. Okay,
Okay.
so we will
So
talk
I'm saying,
this point. We will
if
talk
we
this.
have 50 items,
Okay, yeah. I'll give you that. What you are looking, I will give you that. Hear me out. Okay, so the backlog. So in the sprint planning meeting, product owner given the product vision or a product, not the product, yeah, product vision and sprint goal, that what he wants the team to accomplish in that sprint. Okay, and then he went over all the user story related to that goal. Okay, all the defined user story related to that goal. Scrum master pull those user story into sprint backlog, and product owner prioritize those user story in the backlog. Okay, that is the first phase of that meeting. Then if it is like 4 hour meeting, you have to take a break of at least 10-minute break. And then after that, in next meeting, scrum master sitting with the team and helping them to break down all the user stories into development, testing, analysis, uh, tasks, basically working tasks, and have them estimate each task in hours. Okay, so how you do that? Initially, I will pick up, like, first go to the rally at Jira, and okay, all right, let's team sit down, settle down, and first user story, we have this user story about this, and this is the criteria. Okay, so then I will go to the task, and the first task, what would be what do we need analysis? Okay, what would be doing analysis? How many hours it needed? This much. And development, what you gonna development, what are the development tasks? Okay, you are writing code, and doing unit testing. Okay, how much code, how much hour code, how much unit testing? All right, what are the testing tasks? Okay, creating test scripts. All right, and validating test data. All right, and then executing test cases. All right, so how many hours total? Okay, any other task? So each user story will be broken down task along with hours. Okay, so then when all are broken down, so you will have a workload. Workload is meaning how many hours the team needed to complete those user story. Okay, and as a Scrum Master, you also have capacity sheet. Okay, in which you like log the capacity sheet is a very kind of a tool that you use to calculate the capacity of the team. Okay, so you can create it if there is none, by using Microsoft Excel. Okay, so Excel. So basically in the capacity sheet, okay, team member name. Okay, and then next would be, you know, uh, total R for sprint. Okay, next will be PTO. Next will be total hours, and next will be uh, like meeting hours. Okay, and next will be uh, total hours available for coding. Okay, and next will be uh, team capacity, that is 80% of total hours available for coding. Okay, so let's now do it. Okay, all right, so team member is Rahul. Okay, Rahul will be working in the sprint 80 hours. Okay, 80 hours are total. He has taken one PTO. Okay, the meeting time for total sprint is 15 hours. That includes uh, like all the meetings, grooming meeting, 1 hour 2 hours grooming meeting, and then 4 hour sprint planning meeting, then 15 minutes daily stand up, 2 hours retrospective, 4 hours demo. All that is 15 hours. Okay, and so what will be the total hours available for coding? That will be one day mean 8 hours. Okay, 8 plus 15, 23. 80 minus 23 is equal to what? Okay, 80 minus 23.
80.
Yeah, 80 minus 23 will be 57 hours. So 57 hours are available, 100% time for coding, and 80% of that 57 will be 45.5 hours. Okay, so if we have Rahul and then like 10 members. Okay, are 5 members of the team, and in this capacity sheet only will be the development team. There won't be capacity for Scrum Master or product owner included in it. Okay, so
And development team includes your QA, right?
what development is
Development team.
include developer, QA, DA, architect, anybody assigned to that team.
Okay.
Anybody that is a work on coding and testing, on development, anybody who are working on development. Okay, so they will have, for example, DA, data analyst, have only 20 hours available. Okay, and out of that 20 hours he is just attending 5 hour meeting, and his total time available is 15 hours, and his capacity out of that 15 hour 18%, it will be like 12 hours. Okay. And like this person is assigned 50%, so working on 40 hours. Okay, not taking any PTO. So his hours like meeting hours 15, and 35 hours will be available for coding, and capacity will be 28 hours or 27 hours, something like that. Okay, so what would be team capacity then? Team capacity would be sum of the everybody's capacity. Okay, 172 hours, 0.5 is team capacity for this team. Okay, and by doing breaking down all the user story into task, you have a total hours of for example 200 hours of worth of work that is there in the sprint backlog. Okay, and 175 is the capacity, 200 hours. If there is not a considerable difference, less than 10%, then that's okay. But if it is more than 10%, different organization have different view capacity for capacity validation. So this capacity sheet, when they have done the breakdown the user story, Scrum Master bring up this capacity sheet and validate with the team that, hey team, anything changes, are we still on schedule? And if there is any change, you just put that change and put that in capacity. And then after you done with that validation, capacity validation with the team, then you are doing the capacity validation with the product owner, and that is kind of capacity workload validation. You tell the product owner, hey, team has 175 hours worth of capacity, and the work we have that is 200 hours, and we have 25 more hours. And as per our organizational practice, if there is more than 10% difference, then we have to adjust it. Okay, or whatever the organization practice is. So what user story you want us to take it out? Okay, and similarly, if that's like the work is workload is 110 and 175 available, then you can ask, hey, the team has capacity, they can pick up more work, so you want to assign more work, or you just wanna later on assign on the flight or whatever. Okay, so this is the capacity validation. That is the last thing that uh, do in sprint planning. After the capacity validation is done, then teams start working on items. Okay, and as a scrum master, you just make sure that team understand. And after the capacity validation, the last thing is team taking the team commitment. Okay, that is just a verbal consent of the team that, hey team, this is the work that we have picked up. So this is the work that you have guys are committing to deliver by end of this sprint. Do you guys have any concern, any question, or anything that you want to bring up, because this is the time. So and just to make sure that they understand it, and then and also have them initially tell them that, hey, nobody is gonna tell you what to do. You have to, the team have to swarm and start working on it. So these are the prioritized item, so you should definitely start picking the prioritize, and but nobody is gonna tell you that what to do first or what to do last. Team has to decide within themselves. Okay, who will be working on what, team have to decide that, because if there will be anything that is not being built, it will come on the team, not on the scrum master or the product owner, because you guys did this commitment that you're gonna deliver these features within this sprint. So just to have them understand this, so that they would be taking it into account and dividing the work of them, among themselves and working on it. Okay, so that's what, as a an educate coach, you also tell them. And then every day there is a daily stand up that I conducted, and in that daily stand up, mm, that like or ask like stick to 3 point agenda for 15 minutes and have the team sync up on what they were doing yesterday, what they will be doing today, and if there is any roadblock, I like note down on a roadblock and then work with the respective team member uh, to understand if I need to understand, and then work with the respective teams to resolve those roadblock. Okay. And also, like, protect the team from any other outside influences. Okay. And work on like roadblocks, then work with the team to ask if there is anything that you can help with, and they have keep active communication with the team and the product owner. And whenever some demoable product ready, schedule a demo to show that you know uh, functionality, and if the to get the feedback and get accepted by the product owner. Okay. So not like putting everything to until last day to get the feedback. So that's what I do, like get the feedback right away as the functionality in build, schedule demo, get the feedback, and coach the team basically to do that. And then a final demo meeting with the customer, organizing that meeting, and having like total demo being demonstrated by the team members, by the team, and also protecting the team from outside influences. And also like sometimes like stakeholders are being invited in to that like demo meeting, and they started something talking about. So make sure always made sure that anybody product owner will invite, they will know that they are just to attend that meeting. If they have any feedback, they can give the feedback, and if they have any thing they want to improve, or there's change in requirement type of thing, then they have to talk to product owner. Okay, not to the team, because team only built what the product owner asked them to build. And to protect the team from any outside influences in that way, you know and then have the team to organize retrospective in which they retro and in the retrospective, I have the team to open up. And who are the attendees are retrospective? Just team and the scrum master, not even product owner. Okay. So why? Because the team basically they are the working hand, and they have to retrospect, they have to speak up like clearly. If there is a product owner and for example the requirement wasn't defined, our product owner was too pushy, and the team don't wanna, that's like natural behavior, that they don't wanna, they will be like hesitant to talk. So that's why only team have to retrospect. Even scrum master as optional. Okay. But initially I do attend those like meeting and have them understand that how to be like organize that. Okay. And then whatever the notes they like take out of that meeting, what are the action items, communicate me to those action item, and I will like keep record and work on that and see how we are improving. So ideally, I even the scrum master shouldn't participate in that meetings, that but to have the team initially engage and understand like to what to discuss and how to organize that meeting. I like participated on those meetings and have them the team self organized and cross functional. Okay. So this is how I was implementing and how I was doing. So just something like that, you don't have to explain in that depth. Okay. But if you can, sequence, if you can adopt that sequence in one, for example, in one project you just explained, you in like detail, how you did the grooming. Okay, and in the next project, you just kind of, grooming said in one sentence and elaborated how you did the sprint planning. Okay, and other project, you can talk about, how you did that, like, daily stand-ups and demos, how you organize that. Okay, and in some other project or in the same, you talk about like a retrospect. If you will portray a complete picture, then that would be, they will it will give you uh, kind of a big edge. That interview would be basically in your hand. You will be on the driving seat. So with that said, does it make sense? Is it helping?
It is helping. Yeah, it's helping a lot actually. So question was, you have this in hours. Isn't this sometimes in story points?
A good question. So user stories are estimated. User stories are estimated in story points. Okay, estimated in story points, or, t-shirt sizing.
Yep.
Okay, while tasks are always estimated in hours. Okay, so user story basically, these story points talks about, velocity. Okay, team velocity. Okay, story points tells us team velocity, right? Okay,
Hmm.
and rate of backlog burn down. That is two, like, things that story points tells us. Okay, which are depicted in form of burn down chart.
Yep.
Okay, but these, like, task hours, these are for capacity, like team capacity management and validation. So these are two different, things, and they can only they help the team to take right amount of work. Okay,
Hmm.
this, like, help the team to take right amount of work. Okay, and some organization only use, like, this criteria, and this is alternative criteria to take, have the team pick up right amount of work. And when you are doing 2-3 sprints, after 2-3 sprints they will have a team velocity set. Okay, and then you can let the team to add the task by their own way. Then you don't have to worry much about, like, breaking down the task, because you know what is the team velocity. Then you just keep going with velocity.
Isn't also, so one of the biggest things as a Scrum Master is to protect your team, but yet you still want to maximize the product backlog as well for the product owner, right? So
What that mean when
you're
you say that? What is your in your mind when?
so what I mean by that,
Mhm.
okay, so we want to protect the team from outside interferences and make sure that they're not taking up
Right. So what
more
is the
work than they can
outside? What,
handle.
what are the
Yet we
outside?
still want to be cautious
Right.
that
What are the outside interference?
Mhm.
Who can interfere outside? Primarily product owner.
Product owners.
Right. That is primarily product owner. Okay. So after the, like, sprint planning is done, any more work that team need to pick up, they will be, that's like come through you. If the product owner have to give them anybody, product owner cannot assign work after this, like a sprint planning meeting. When the sprint is in flight, if he need anything from any team member, you have a clear cut instruction to the team that, hey, if a product asks you anything, you just ask them, like discuss with the scrum master. Because product backlog is product owner's responsibility. Sprint backlog is scrum master responsibility, because the delivery of that sprint, smooth delivery, that is where you are helping. Okay, so that you kind of put a lock on that, you don't pick up any work during the sprint. Okay, and if there will be any,
Yep.
that will be coming after product owner, scrum master and team will sit together. Okay, if they will be coming, because why? Because if the new work will be coming during the sprint, then some other work will be at risk, and you want the product owner to accept that risk. Okay, because
Got it.
at the end of the sprint, if they he said to the team, hey, you guys didn't complete that work, you didn't met your commitment. Well, we didn't met the commitment because we have this work. Okay, and if you don't if team started picking up without this discussion, then at the end of the sprint, they will be always, there are stories that are moving next, and team looks performance of the team looks really bad. Okay, and you don't want to do that, and neither nobody in the team want to do that. Okay, so this is how, this is how you protect your team from such like dilemma. Okay, by helping the product owner
Okay.
and the team. Make sense?
Makes sense. Now I have questions.
Yeah, go ask question.
Okay. First question. We have, let's say we have 30 user stories that are being done in the sprint. Okay.
30 user story done in
Out of
sprint.
those,
Okay.
it's not common, but let's just hypothetically say.
Okay.
So 30 user stories are supposed to be done in the sprint, the 2 weeks time frame that we have.
Okay.
I make sure that there's no outside interference once the sprint starts. I make sure that the product owner comes and talks to me, but doesn't interfere the team at all.
No,
Okay.
that is a
You
scam.
find out there's roadblocks. Huh?
Scam. Yep. Yep.
You find out that the team is having roadblocks at the 7th or 8th day of the sprint. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
You try to resolve those roadblocks, but at the end of the roadblocks, you find out only 15 items are done because we had a severe roadblock blocking it.
Okay.
What do you do then?
All right.
You have 15 more stories that are going to be pushed over to the next sprint, as well as whatever else comes in that sprint.
Right. So that can happen. That's not a problem. Okay, that can happen.
I've seen that happen. That's why.
Yeah, that can happen. And first thing is that, like, the roadblock is, think about that, how the work is being done. So they are working on user story, like maybe like one member is working on one user story, or two member working on one user story. Okay, and if there is a roadblock, that will be not for the team roadblock, that will be roadblock for a one person, or like, two person for a user story. Okay, so work is not gonna stop right away, like, for one roadblock. The team still will be doing. And if there is a roadblock, and if there is any other work item pending, so while you are resolving the roadblocks, you ask that person, hey, could you please, like, start working on other that. Because if it is like, something just one call, or you just have, for example, they need access for some system. Until they don't have that access, they cannot proceed. Member one was working on a user story, and he need access. He wrote an email, but he didn't got any response, so that's a roadblock. So, as you, as a scrum master, you work on that roadblock. You work with the, that manager, or whoever the owner of that application, or to get that access. Okay, and that owner of that application is not available today. Okay, so he is coming back tomorrow. You like further asked out, but you haven't get that any who else can help. So it will take more time to get that resolved, so you can update the team member, hey, it's this is the situation, so you can work on other item, that what I will do. Okay, and so that they won't
So
like.
is a Scrum Master kind of like the project manager too?
No, this is not a project manager. Project manager is something different. Okay, so you work only on roadblock. Project manager manage resources. Okay, he managed resources, in which human resource as well as hardware software resources. Okay, that's what the project manager do. Okay, and he help out sometime if you cannot do that. Okay, or if there is any risk, he work on the those risk. That is a project manager. But here as a scrum master, you are actively working on anything that is blocking the team, or anything that is blocking or a team member to complete his user story. Okay, and that can be anything. Data they required a data. Okay, data transformation. Okay, and first thing is that whenever they have anything, they should pursue themselves, if they know where to contact and what to do. Okay, and if they don't know, they will let you know right away. Okay, and you will work with the that respective teams, or team members, or whatever, and get that thing done. So that is a kind of scrum master role, a kind of troubleshooter. Okay, a kind of roadblock resolver. Okay, and that's what day to day you do with the team. Okay, and have the team to work on smoothly. Okay, so that the team would be able to fulfill the commitments that they have made. Okay, so you are a servant leader basically. and
Mhm.
and in the agile, everybody is basically serving the team. The top leadership is also the servant leaders. Okay, so that's how you do that. Make sense?
Okay, another question.
Yeah.
How do you resolve a conflict that how do you resolve an in-team conflict with the developers as a Scrum Master?
As a scrum master, you first thing, first approach to have them resolve. Okay, have them resolve. And how you resolve? I will just ask them, hey guys, the team commitment is team what is meaning of team commitment? Okay, and if that thing is not, the commitment is ill not met, then there is no single person to blame. No matter it is due to QA or somebody else, the whole team will look bad. Okay, so first try to understand that why it is happening. Okay, and have them to come to conclusion or solution. If it is kind of a personalized or human behavior at conflict, then that. Okay, if there is any other conflict, there might be some roadblock or something that they are putting to each other, then you pick up that roadblock and resolve, get it resolved. Okay,
Okay,
so mhm.
now second, um, development team has a blocker due to needing more clarification on user story, or they have something to ask the product owner. So in a BA role, it is your role to kind of answer those questions, right? Work with the product owners, me, whatever, get those answers for the development team. How does that happen in Scrum?
Right, so in scrum, every morning we have daily stand up, they can ask during that. And the product owner is dedicated product owner to scrum team. Anytime a team member can get up and go to the product owner and ask question. There shouldn't be any barrier between them. There shouldn't be any layer between product owner and our team regarding any a requirement or clarification question, or any feedback. Okay, team can give the demo
Got
to the
it.
product owner
Makes sense.
directly, and they can take the feedback. And this is what, like, you coach the team that, hey, and also the product owner, hey, you are directly connected to the product owner. Whenever you have question, right away ask. Okay.
Okay, makes sense. Few more questions. I also wanted you to give me a mock again because I don't feel I'm anywhere near ready for tomorrow's
Right, right.
interview.
So you need to, like, kind of step back. I recorded this conversation. I'm gonna, upload and send it to you right away. Sit back, think about that, what you heard and what role is, and listen this like conversation again. And after that, like, write down your responses. Whatever the question comes into your mind, like, you ask the question, write the question and write the response. Okay. And then, that, then throw that out and speak it out. Then that would be your, preparation.
Sounds good. Do you think I'll be ready or no?
I'm 100% confident that you will be ready. It depends on, how much like focus you can give it to it, because you know everything, and everything is like in front of you. Okay, you just have to organize your response and confidently, like, think about your resume and where you are put those responses. Okay.
Okay.
And you will be ready.
So don't say everything in one project, right? What? So if they ask a question, what was your day-to-day responsibilities? Well, each day would be different, right?
Day-to-day responsibilities that, during, so again, I will always like go back in my response. Okay. So day to day responsibility depends on, like, which when we are at what state we are in the sprint. I mean, if we are on the day one, then, my responsibility is organize the daily stand up daily like sprint planning meeting. Okay. And then talk in detail about sprint planning meeting. And in, like, if I'm doing the regular day, like from 2 to 9 hour, then daily stand-ups and working on the roadblocks. And on that, and also on the day 10th, like final demo and organizing the retrospective. That was kind of main activity of the day. And also organize twice a one or two times 2 hours worth of grooming meeting during the sprint. So that was my, like, day to day activities in the sprint. While before starting the sprint, my day to day activity was educating the coaching the team framework, and uh, having extensive grooming meetings with the product owner. So we will have 2 to 3 days worth of like product backlog defined before we will start sprint.
Okay, understood. Now, is it also it's the is it the Scrum Master's role to define definition of ready and definition of done?
Yeah, so Scrum Master, yes, it is. So Scrum Master role is like when you coach them, then you send out a kind of agreement. Okay. For the team review. Okay. And in that agreement, you tell, like, whatever you have coached, that this is how we will be following up, and this will be the definition of done, this will be the definition of ready, and send it out to all the team, development team, as well as the product owner, so they have a kind of a guideline for them. Okay. And definition of done and definition of ready is already, you put there, so that they follow. Okay. It's not like kind of 100%, so you have to follow. Sometimes, definition of ready, you have to kind of like compromise, because something came up that wasn't, like, defined, or suddenly some priority changed, or something happened on the product owner side. But then we have, that is a kind of risk. Then they have to accept that risk, that, hey, now they, the team have to work kind of more to do analysis, so they will be waking up, more time for analysis, because we haven't done the grooming extensively, or something. Make sense?
Okay. How? average meeting for grooming, you want to have 2 to 3 sprints groomed, right?
Right. So
Usually.
initially, like, for example, uh, the whole team started this week. To Monday they started, and their sprint is gonna be the coming Friday. Friday will be the day one of the sprint. Okay. And as a Scrum Master, I worked with the product owner to hey, product owner, what's the status of backlog? He told that he has only features like ready, and he need to broke down the feature into user stories. Okay, all right. So let's do that. Okay. And when you think that would be completed? And he said it would be completed by end of Tuesday. All right, then I am scheduling grooming meeting for in like Wednesday and Thursday. Okay, so I will 4 hour 4 hour meeting, 4 5 hour on Wednesday and 4 5 hour on Thursday. I will set up 2 meetings for the grooming. Okay, and in those meetings we will have the backlog ready and groomed. Okay.
So the
And
sprint planning meeting takes half a day, right?
sorry.
The backlog grooming takes half a day as well.
No, initially I'm talking about. So
Okay.
when we started the sprint, there is only 2 hours worth of sprint like backlog grooming during the sprint.
Okay.
So you can do 1 hour, 1 hour
Got it.
every week, or you can do two hours like in second week, or first week, whatever. Basically the team and product owner agree.
Okay. Makes sense. All right.
Any other question?
Um. Uh. What do you feel are your strongest? What do you feel are your strongest skills as a Scrum Master?
I'm As a Scrum Master, I'm very good coach. Okay, I am a good servant leader, and I have a very good communication, and I can identify the right people for any roadblock or anything, and I am very detailed, so I can ask things in detail. And also I have a technical background. I can understand the development team needs. Okay, and as being like a BA, I also understand deeply under like the needs of the product owner. So I can serve the product owner in the best way somebody can, and I can serve the team in the best way somebody can. So that's why I consider myself like a very good Scrum Master.
Makes sense. Now, one more question is, what do you feel are some of your weakest strengths?
Like weaknesses and strengths, as a Scrum Master, sometimes I'm kind of very detailed, and sometimes I get the team to let the team to go in details, so that sometimes uh, go over time for 15 minutes, especially in stand up. So that I consider kind of a weakness, but I'm working on that, to have the team complete that stand up within 15 minutes, so they don't spend more time that on that.
Got it. Makes sense. Okay.
And
Um,
in the my
how,
strength,
how many
Mhm. my strengths are
how
like,
many Oh yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
yeah, my strength are that, I have worked both in waterfall and agile environment. I have worked in like transforming waterfall into agile. So my strength are like I'm a very good coach. I kind of uh, due to my experience, I can have transformation experience. So most of the time, when you get a scrum team, so each team members have a different background. Some are coming so maybe like a waterfall, some are sprint. So I have a very good understanding and coaching capability to like coach the team, and even individuals as per their need. okay, by identifying their need. And that is my core strength, that I can get the team to function as a cross-functional, strong Scrum team who can deliver the real value in a true spirit.
Okay. How many how many what was the size of the development in your Scrum team?
Well,
Because obviously your Scrum team
right,
can have 50 people, so 5 to 7, right?
right. So, like,
7 to 10.
yeah, different. I have worked with different numbers of Scrum teams. Like usually it's like 5 to 9 people, okay. And I have worked with even in one we have like a kind of 14 people in the team. And why was that? Because we were developing an application, like a mobile application, and there was a back end team and front end team. And because it was kind of not a part of a big program, there was only two teams. So to have them kind of more work together with each other, I like suggested that we should combine both the teams so they will have a more communication, because we have a very tight timeline. So then I worked with the one Scrum team, big Scrum team with like 15 people. So it's like really depends on
Okay.
the project, but ordinarily it's like a 7 to 9, five to nine people in the team sometime.
Got it. In a burn down chart, what does it show? The like for example, it shows the effort hours completed versus how many are remaining, or does it show what is shown in a burn down chart?
Right. So that is very specific question about that. That is sometime I will call it like a kind of stupid kind of question. So in burn down chart, basically, you are burning effort, okay, and building the value, okay. So there is our effort hours. Basically, these like hours 200, and this like the number of hours we have, they will be burned down 175 hours. They will be burned down like with the time, okay. So there will be on horizontal there will be time, and on vertical there will be effort, okay. So effort is gonna burn down with time. So in time there will be like day 1, day 2, day up to day 10, okay. So each day this like the effort hours they are gonna go down, and then number of user stories that's gonna go down, and then accepted number of user stories gonna go up, because they are building, and then at the end of the day there will be all user story accepted.
Got it. I think that's it for right now, Shazad. What time do you want to meet back up? I'm gonna study all day,
If
so
you yeah so you take a kind of systematic approach to prepare, and though that approach should be you know sit back, think about that your resume, your and what is the and make your user stories, and write down those you like make your stories, how you gonna answer, okay, and write it down, and kind of edit those. So those will be your responses. So you have all the knowledge that you needed, okay, after this meeting, and you just need to write your responses, and think about how you respond with the questions. So it's more about like mental work that you needed, okay. And if you will do by like stepping back and thinking more, then it will be really helpful. And as you are ready, we can do the mock interview
okay. How about 9 o'clock?
anytime you are ready.
Okay.
All right.
You think I'll pass, Shazad?
I'm like the way I went over. I think anybody who have no idea of agile, who never did that, they can pass the interview. And you have experience, you have worked in the environment, so why you can't? So
Okay.
I'm very, confident you gonna excel. Okay. So I'm gonna upload it and
Oh,
send it to you the link so you can watch it. Okay, hear it out. Take.
also, can you send me this chart that you made?
Yeah, I'll send you that too.
Okay.
All right then. Take care.
All right.
Bye bye.